All right, welcome everybody to week 5 feature matches. Time flies here in in Bro League. We're going to have Chris York, who's looking to make a three-peat here, 3 weeks in a row in the feature match, and he got a win the last 2 weeks. And he's going to be up against Chris H, and Dan's going to be looking at his hand. So, what's going on over there for Chris H?
Looks like we're blue-white. Really good land distribution here. He's got two more islands in hand. As far as spells, we've got a Weak Stone Subjugation, a Zephyr Sentinel, the Seraph, the prototype version he could play next turn, and he's also got the 5 mana Mythic Platoon Dispenser.
All right, yeah. So Chris York is actually on 10 losses, so this is going to be an
Oh, wow.
elimination match for him. And I actually made a gentleman's agreement with him that if he survived, we're going to have a death match tomorrow afternoon, I guess.
Excellent.
But since we're both on 10 losses, but yeah. So Chris York, he's got this is this red blue value deck that just keeps on chugging here. We keep seeing it being able to pull out victories. Got the scrap trawler here. So in hand, his hand, he's going to need a little bit of good draws here. He's got the Mightstone and Weakstone, which is nice, which is going to be able to kill off that Angel in 2 turns.
Yeah.
And he's got a Machine Over Matter, which is the bounce spell, and then the rest are lands right now.
Okay, so he'll take a couple points of damage here over the next 2 turns, but he will eventually have an answer to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Facebeard isn't really priced into doing much here. It looks like he will be mana efficient and just get the weak stone off.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't stop Trawler's effect from getting value.
Yeah, exactly. The thing about Scrap Trawler is that I mean, if you're able to attack with it, you do, but it doesn't need to attack or block to get value. But it's early game, so nothing's going in the graveyard just yet. So this is a little bit of a strange one here to bounce it. I guess he'd just rather do that than take 3. But I mean, he has the ability to kill it with the Mightstone and Weakstone next turn anyway.
He doesn't know that Krzys is also holding on to his Platoon Dispenser, so he will be punished if he does decide to instead go with the Platoon Dispenser this turn.
Yeah, and the Platoon Dispenser can't be killed off by the Mightstone and Weakstone because it's got the 6
Exactly.
toughness. Yeah, so we did see Chris's deck in week 2, if you remember that very memorable match against Tony with that
Yes.
one particular game that was going back and forth and back and forth, and Tony pulled off the memorable moment there with the Scarab Feast, but it was Chris H who did end up victorious in that one. So it's got a good track record here in the future match. But yeah, the Mightstone Weakstone comes down. It doesn't really accomplish what what York was trying to do, which was kill off the Steel Seraph, and now it's going to come down in its bigger form at some point.
Yeah, I imagine what Chris wanted to do was he was trying to bait Facebeard into maybe playing it for the 6 mana version, which he knew he could kill. But yeah, this is a huge interruption in Chris's plans. But
Yeah,
he will decide to pump it instead.
so maybe a slight misplay there by Chris H. He could have played his Steel Seraph before combat to get a life link there, just to gain 2 life, but not major here. So yeah, Chris is left with 3 islands in hand. So
Okay,
he
needs to
does
pick
have
up
lots of
extra
card draw in
cast.
his deck. So if he can find that, he's going to be okay. So he's got a Sky Strike Officer here, which kind of pales in
Okay.
comparison to this Platoon Dispenser, but it's the start of something, perhaps, if it
Ooh.
stays in play.
Fortunately, Facebeard did manage to pick up off the top the prison sentence.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. So he's gonna if he doesn't want to make any other plays, he could just make a token here and draw a card with the Platoon
I
Dispenser.
mean, I'm very happy doing that. Yeah, there's no reason to do anything else. Deciding what he wants to put on top. He's looking currently at an Energy Refractor and a Ocean Tactician. He is going to decide to leave both those where they are.
Yeah, Yoshin Tactician sounds good. Zephyr Sentinel is a soldier, and the tokens made by the dispenser, I'm pretty sure, are those little 1/1 soldiers as well. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so this is going to be So Chris has got a York has got a combat career here.
Okay.
So he's just going to sack it right away. He knows that just chump blocking and taking 3 is not going to get him anywhere. So he's gonna he drew another land here. So yeah, just got land flooded. His 2 creatures that he did play got locked down here, and those the rare Seraph and the Mythic Dispenser just spelled disaster here, and now he's just passing with 3 islands in hand.
And,
So this is
I mean,
going to
not the most
be
exciting game one, but this is sometimes how the games go.
yeah. I mean, this is the game we come back to time and time again. We know that sometimes you just are going to draw 11 lands and less spells, and sometimes you're going to draw 2 or 3 lands and not and too many spells. So you know, we hate to see it here, but it looks like he's thinking about taking out his one with the multiverse. Just might be a little too slow. So it seems that since the last time we saw Chris York's deck, he's picked up another mythic on color to go with his deck already. He's got the Skitterbeam Battalion here. That's
Skinner, the thing that
yeah,
makes copy.
yeah. It's the 9 drop that you can cast for 3 red as well. So it looks like he's adding in some of these Dwarven Forge Channers here just as early blockers, perhaps. We did see him running those main deck last week. He's taking out a Mind's Eye here. He's just feeling like it might be too slow. But it wasn't even that Chris H got off to like a blazing start. It was just Chris York got off to a very, very sluggish start.
Yeah,
Oh, I think
gonna
your sound broke up a bit there.
the same. Oh, he's gonna just keep the same list going into this next game. No sideboard changes made from here.
Yeah. So Chris York is deciding on a final cut here. So again, he brought in 2 of the dwarves, the 1/3. Okay, he looks like he's just going to take out an energy refractor, just as like maybe not an impactful 2 drop. But the thing is that like his deck sort of is running on those energy refractor
Yeah.
type cards. That's what makes his deck tick. So
He's got the
I
value
agree the
from Mystic
Mind's Eye is too
Forge.
slow, but I might have thought about taking something else out there. Looks like he's got a better hand here.
Looks like this is probably going to be a mulligan with 1 island in hand.
Okay.
Okay, he does take it. Oh, but with a Sky Strike Officer and 3 lands, you keep that every time.
Yeah. And the other 2 cards are
So he's got Recommission, which he's going to put back. He's got the Airlift Chaplain, and he's got the Steel Seraph, which he will be able to cast Prototype. So this is a strong opening hand
yeah.
from Facebeard.
So I was saying Chris York has an okay hand, but if he's going to be under assault here, his hand is good at sort of doing what his deck does, which is churn through itself with the Combat Courier, Chromatic Star, Mystic Forge. He's got Sword of
Oh,
the
wow.
Meek and 2 lands. So not good at fighting bombs, but good at churning and maybe finding some answers for these bombs that are coming down here.
As far as early problem bombs, I mean, Sky Strike Officer is top of the list. Steel Seraph following closely behind as far as things you need to answer very
Yeah.
quickly as soon as you have the board.
Yeah, Sky Strike Officer it's a snowball card, right? Because it keeps getting you even more value. It's not like it keeps doing the same thing. It keeps doing it like it gets you more and more and more every time. All right, so the Scrap Trawler was a nice draw here, at least something to affect the board. But like I said, he does not right now have any removal or tools to fight against what's coming down here. Yeah, so he's got
Interesting
another
that he
land.
decides to lead out with the Angel instead of the Sky Strike. I guess he's wanting to. He values this less than the Sky Strike Officer. Maybe he's trying to seek out some removal from Chris.
Yeah, I think Sky Strike Officer it just attacks on so many different venues. I mean, the Steel Seraph is just a value. It's just like what it gives you for the mana is just insane. But like I said, Sky Strike Officer offers bonuses and advantages on an even higher level with continually making artifacts. They're soldiers. They're artifacts. They can draw cards later. It's just
Yeah.
like I said, it's a snowball. So rather than playing the Mystic Forge, Chris York decides to just spend 4 mana playing a Sword of the Meek, equipping it, and dealing 4 damage here. Um, so it's like he can play the Mystic Forge this turn, or he can dig a little deeper here with Chromatic Star, and he's drawn a Scrapwork Mutt, so he can get a looks at a few different cards here. So he's got
I
a
think he
Maze
just
Mind
needs to
Tome on
find
top of the
motion
deck.
quickly.
He's got a Maze Mind Tome on top of the deck. That just might be just too slow here.
Yeah, I mean he's able to draw these cards, but unfortunately, they all just seem to be cards that will help him, further draw cards rather than deal with these immediate answers. Ooh, and with Urza's rebuff in hand, that's going to make it very difficult to deal with, you know, this current board presence.
Okay, so he's got a counterspell even if Chris
Yeah,
digs up something here. All right, yeah, it's just sometimes you just play rare into rare, and your opponent doesn't play removal, and you profit. I mean, Chris York
um,
also played rare into rare with Scrap Trawler and Sword of the Meek, but
yeah, fair.
wasn't quite exactly what he needed. Okay, so he's got a Machine Over Matter here on top of the deck that can bounce this Sky Strike Officer, or he can try to, and
I mean, I know what
he
Krzys
can
deck is
access that
capable.
with the Scrapwork Mud here or the Maze Mind Tome to draw a card.
I just want the game to go longer because I just love Chris's deck, and I would hate for it to be the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got our money's worth the last 2 weeks, seeing it really operate at full capacity and be doing a lot of different things, not just the drawing cards, not just the rares, but coming back against an aggro deck last week.
Yep.
Ryan's white black deck really scrapping back into it, being very very careful and playing tight as well as the games where he was running away with the card advantage. But yeah, these just rares they just cause so much pressure, especially flying, and now with the backed up by a counterspell, it's gonna be tough here. And even if Chris York thought that in there's a world where he could race, the lifelink on the Steel Seraph just makes that even
Yeah,
more impossible.
this Seraph has been like for me the most dangerous looking rare over as the weeks have evolved. Don't get me wrong, like Wormcoil Engine's scary, but this Seraph just like makes it difficult to race your opponent, to like kill your opponent. Like
Yeah, yeah. At 3 mana, it's very scary because it can come down on turn three, and it's just like it just produces a potential army. 2/3 flyer for three with all these abilities.
and suddenly your opponent gets like flying lethal out of nowhere if they just manage to like play it
Yeah.
onto the battlefield with a big
Well,
beater.
this is almost lethal here.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, not
Six,
quite,
five,
but
seven. Yeah, it's one off of of lethal here if he pumps. But I figured he's just gonna keep up his counterspell.
yeah, I mean,
Doesn't need to risk his board now. He's got all the advantage. Yeah. So
he's
he's
got a
gonna.
dominating.
So looks like Chris is gonna or York is going to draw his machine over matter and probably attempt to bounce one of these creatures.
You don't even really want to bounce the Seraph because you know he can just replay it as a, a 5/4.
Definitely don't want to bounce that. Yeah. All right. So he gets his draw here. He has an island on top next turn, so that's no good. Yeah. So here comes the bounce spell, bouncing. I guess Seraph because it represents the most damage. I mean, if you're Chris H, you could even just let this happen honestly, and then just recast it.
He decides
But he'd rather
to
just
go with the gun. Oh
yeah.
wow!
I mean,
I mean,
this is the obvious play, and just keep the pressure on.
it's only punish if like Chris York has some sort of board clear, but I can't imagine in blue red in this format what you're drawing to deal with this board state.
Yeah, well, in Brothers War, there's Brotherhood's End. I don't think he has access to that though. So he's just gonna play
Actually, yeah,
Earth Chaplain here. So even one removal is not going to be even close to enough here. Yeah. So after displaying much power over the past couple weeks, you know, sort of to go out like this, you hate to see it. He's got a
I'm
precursor
sad.
golem on top of the deck,
I do genuinely hate to see it.
that's a fun one, but it doesn't stop the 7 power of flying already in play.
I'm gonna pull out one for Chris York tonight.
uh, he's waving around his precursor golem, probably with much sadness here. All right, he's gonna cast it. He's gonna show what he can do. Yeah, so he's got another machine over matter on top of the deck, but no way to get it in his hand here.
I'm so sad.
So even a machine over matter would not be enough though. So yeah, the just just Chris H's draws were just so coordinated and just these strong rares flying plus other advantages just put on the pressure so hard. And I mean, even if York drew like a removal, which he didn't draw a removal this game,
Yeah.
even one removal would have not been enough here, and even the bounce spell was countered. So yeah, it looks like Chris H. Facebeard is going to keep on fighting here. He came in 11-9, so he still has to win quite a few this week to stay in it. But this is putting him on the right path, and looks like Chris York's tournament has come to a close here in week 5. So
Well, Chris York, you may not have won this game, but you certainly won our hearts with this deck that we've seen over the last 3 weeks, and we're
oh yeah,
sad to see you go.
no, it was an absolute joy to watch this deck operate and to watch him pilot it. Quite well. So he's drawing a card here. He's going to go out drawing a card, which is my favorite way to die here.
Very
My favorite way to
appropriate for
die
this deck.
to draw a card. Yeah. So he's just taking game actions here while he still can, but off. Yeah. Yeah. So these the rares come down. The rares aren't answered, and they take the game. So
Good
thanks to
games.
thanks to both
Good
players.
games,
Thanks to Chris
apparently.
York for entertaining us 3 weeks in a row, and congratulations to Chris H for winning this one here in week 5. So we'll be back in a bit with the next feature match.